Yes, it's not Tommy. It's not Tommy. It's Russ. Hope you're safe and well. Hello, everybody. This is new. It's nice. Oh, actually, let me take the show off. There we go. It's Russ. Hope you're well. For one night only. Irish Tommy, unfortunately, is not available today. He is on his way to Tipperary, which is a true story. And I found out, apparently, it's a long way to go. He didn't find that joke anyway. Funny either. Anyway, I hope you're safe and well. If you're new around here, give it a like, a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe. Happy Friday evening, happy Friday afternoon for us friends in the in the States, and happy Saturday morning for anyone on the other side. In terms of Asia and Kieran and all the boys, the Thailand boys and stuff like that. Hope you're all safe and well. So there I was. Let's set the scene for what we're going to talk about today. There I was doing the David Moyes press conference, and what we do is just, behind the fourth wall is we see what's on Football London in terms of the live blog. That wasn't running as quickly. So we went onto the official West Ham live blog of the press conference. Yeah. We take what's been said. It's all typed up. We put it in and then we do the show. Now, one piece of information that they omitted from the original live blog was a statement made by Mr. David Moyes. And it was quite a big statement. And in fact, it's been splashed on everything since then. It's been splashed on all the news sites and on BBC and all over the place. And let me just quote what was said. So in his press conference, Mr. Moyes was asked about Mr. Declan Rice. Some of you may know him. He's our club captain. When asked about his plans, when asked about what could happen next season in the summer, he was quoted in saying, "We hope Dec stays. We would love him to be a West Ham player, but we are aware that might not be the case. That is one of the scenarios. Our plans are to have Dec here, but we are fully aware there is a good chance that we won't have him." Now, we all know about Moyes' good chances. He said that Kurt Zuma didn't have a good chance of starting against Alkmaar yesterday, and he did. So when he says a good chance, that's a pretty much nailed on thing. Now, obviously, this came out. I mean, we know what Dec. Well, I'll go into the chat in a minute, but just wanted to set the scene really. So, in terms of Dec, we know he made his debut in 2017. He's actually played in every season since then, and considering he's only 24, 23, 24, 24, that's some achievement, like 6 seasons now, I think it is, since his debut. Albeit his debut was the last game of this 2016-17 season, but regardless of that, as of yesterday was his 240th appearance in terms of first team appearances. He's had 14 goals. He won Hammer of the Year in 2020, and he was runner-up on the previous 2 years, 2018 and 2019. So he has obviously hasn't won anything for the last couple of years, though. Did I do runner-up last year? No, I don't think did I do runner-up? I can't remember. So yes. So, in essence, yesterday was probably his penultimate game at the London Stadium wearing a West Ham shirt. Obviously, next Sunday will be potentially his last game. Now, obviously, this happened. We had everything, this obviously came out today, but early on the week, I think it was on Monday. Yeah, I think it was on the Monday after the Man United game that the news broke that actually we were going to give that Declan was on. He had £120, a bargain, £120 million price tag on him, and that would be selling. If a Champions League club came in, we would sell him for £120 million. Also, just to give it a bit more context, we also had the club did their what's it called, their kit launch. Well, we're doing the marketing for the new kit, which apparently some people reckon it might be out tomorrow. I don't think it will be out tomorrow, but Declan was nowhere to be seen with that. The likes of I think Downs, Bowen, Kira, Areola, Cornet, Fornals, I think were there, as well as some of the legends like Georgie Paris and a lot of the fans as well at the Carpenter's Arms. And hasn't really done anything West Hammy since, in all honesty. Hasn't really done anything promotional since, and usually as a captain, you think might do a bit, but he hasn't really done anything since. So maybe that's adding a bit of weight to the fire. So that's the context. That's the context. I want to talk a little bit more about it. I want to get your views about it as well. And I want to talk about a bit about who's going to be the replacement. Who's gonna come on and who are we going to bring in? Because by Moyes saying that, but Moyes is saying, you've got to fight, it's got to, well, not Moyes, but the club have been saying, Champions League up 120 million. Moyes says there's a good chance he's going to go. We need, what's the plan? Hopefully there is a plan, but if not, we can make our own plan and see, who you'd want to, in an ideal world, who would he go to? In an ideal world, how there was also talk of, I think Gonzo did a show the other day about cash plus also a player as well. So that could be an interesting thing to look at. And I've got some runners and riders in terms of people that we could be looking at, people we've been linked with as well. There's a lot of midfielders, obviously, naturally we've been linked with. So let's go and see what we got. Howard, good evening to you. Cyril's in the house as well. Sorry, I just had to pop off. I didn't want to do it. Nice to see you, Tommy, today. Sorry, got a brew, riding a spliff. Looking forward to tonight's show. I've got me a pouch of Backy and a can of Monster ready to go. That's what we like. Usual suspect. Good afternoon to you. Sorry, did I let you down? I did leave. And a slice of lemon drizzle cake my daughter baked. Oh, Howard, that sounds delightful. Sounds delightful. Nice cup of tea. We know a strong side will still be playing Sunday. Moyes does the opposite to what you'd want him to do. Indeed, Jay will be doing all that. Will be coming up next week. Not next week. Be coming up tomorrow and Sunday. We'll have the predicted 11. We'll have Holly's 10 things you didn't know about Brentford. We'll have the match day watch along. We'll have the daily show tomorrow. There's a lot of news coming out now. And obviously this was sort of not bombshell, because I think it's one of those open secrets in terms of Declan Rice. We as a fan base, we know that he's probably, we would want him to win stuff. Obviously, we'd love him to win stuff at West Ham, but the chances are maybe the Europa Conference, but that's probably our limit. In all honesty, if we're calling it out as it is, are we ever going to win the Premier League? Nope. Could Declan go to a top 6 side and win the Premier League? Does his talent deserve it? Quite possibly. And he's football's a short career. And, he's played 240 times for the club already, and he's 24. In an ideal world, if he stayed at West Ham, he could even be knocking on Bobby Moore, Billy Bonds, Mark Noble in terms of their sort of appearances easily. Maybe not Billy, was it 700 or 699? But kind of, that was 10 years, he could do 50 a bit, so anyway, Steve, good afternoon to you. Scott's in the house. Check on Chef, hope you're well. Sunday's next game could be Deck's last game. Probably will be, let's be honest, I think it will be. Cyber, hope everyone is ever. I'm going on Talk Sport. Good luck, Cyber, hope you're well. Who are you talking to? You're talking to is it Jason Cundy tonight? I personally think Deck may have already come to an agreement with another club that we don't know about. Quite possibly. By all accounts, obviously we know the situation. We know the situation. His dad is his agent, and so they have the best interest in heart of his. We know that he is, I believe, I can't remember where I heard it from, but if he wants to leave, it would be to a legacy club. so a bit of heritage behind it. So to me, that rules out Newcastle. Yes, there'll be a Champions League, could well be a champion. And actually, it's a story about that tomorrow, which we'll talk about in terms of how much money Newcastle could earn in the Champions League compared to West Ham if we get through to the Europa League. And there, I wouldn't say that a legacy club, in all honesty. Arsenal, possibly. I mean, they've choked. They've choked the Premier League this year to a very, very strong Man City side. Man United, legacy, could be in the Premier, could be in the Champions League. I think there's still a bit of turmoil there at the moment. I think when we've played Man United, when we've played Arsenal at home the last couple of games, Deck's pissed on their midfield. In all honesty, absolutely pissed on them. So, yeah, it was a good advert. Liverpool, will Liverpool have that type of money for Declan Rice? I mean, you think about Liverpool, there's legacy there. Jordan Henderson's on his way out. You know, they love someone like, he could be their next Steven Gerrard. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'd go and get Bissouma from Spurs. But we're gonna talk about them. Kadoa's more. I think I'd suggest Kadoa's more of a forward, like rather than a midfielder. But there's definitely some kids who could take the mantle eventually. Everyone's talking about Ward Prowse. Frano, good evening to you. What we got here? There's a Frano. Everyone's talking to each other. Real Madrid's possibly, but now Real Madrid look like they're going to be getting Jude Bellingham. So are they going to really splash out for Jude Bellingham and Rice? It'd be a hell of a double transfer, but I just don't think they've got the money for it. And obviously the Bellingham side, by all accounts, he's already having contract negotiations with them. I mean, whoever he goes for will be the valuation of Declan Rice, because also if he's going to an English club and he's English as well, you've got that English sort of add-on for the homegrown thing as well. Simon, good evening to you. Everyone's talking to each other. Fancy Arsenal. We'll throw Smith Rowe in with a deal for Rice. Thought Benny was excellent. He was very good. If Deck does go, he goes abroad. But why would he go? But why? He got at West Ham. If Moyes goes, does Rice stay, and vice versa? Well, I think if that's the thing. I think this season there's two sagas. This close season, we've got the David Moyes saga and the Declan Rice saga. And all I ask is that they get sorted out within the first month, because I don't want us being all summer dragging our, in terms of who we're going to buy, who we're going to sell, and it's all dependent whether Declan Rice leaves. And Declan Rice leaves on the 30th of August, and we've got no time to spend £100 million. Do you know what I mean? And that would happen with West Ham, just because that's just so West Ham. Similarly, David Moyes, if he's staying, he's staying. Not like it or lump it, but that's a decision that the board make, and there's nothing we can really do about it. Then it's okay. Well, then what's happening next? I think there's a lot of moving parts. Myself and Anton did a show a couple of weeks ago when Irish Tommy wasn't around about the exodus, the summer exodus, and we spoke about the likes of the information we were given in terms of the likes of Lanzini, the likes of Areola, Scarmacca, Soufal, Cresswell, these guys out of contract. Now, Cresswell, by all accounts, it looks like he's signing a new deal. I thought that was what we'd heard before, was in relation to if Moyes stays, Cresswell signs a new deal. So does that mean Moyes is staying? Does that mean the information we heard before was rubbish? We don't know. That's the thing. We don't. No one genuinely knows. But we've got all these types of things happening at the moment, and it all sort of boils down to those two key decisions: what we're doing with Rice, what's happening with Moyes. And I think, are they interchangeable? Possibly. They could be interchangeable in that, if Moyes goes and say they bring in a really top-notch manager, does that encourage Rice to give us one more year, particularly in Europa League? You look at Roma now. Roma on the They're in the semi. They won the Conference League last year. They're in the semi-finals of the Europa League. They could be in the Champions League next year, having won 2 trophies in a row. Does a new manager in? Does a new philosophy? Does it bring in extra players? A new type of football that maybe Deck would enjoy more? There's so many moving parts, but it's based on these two things. For me, I think also, the domino effect of Moyes staying. I think if Moyes stays, I think Skamaka's gone. So, and then I think maybe Antonio's going to go. He's got one more move in him. There's so many moving parts. And I think the Declan Rice one is critical, is absolutely critical. It's our number one priority. I'd say even more than sorting out the manager at the moment, because it's the playing staff on the pitch. You could have the manager could change, and you could have Declan Rice still there, and it makes a huge difference because you've got continuity there. If he's not there, a new manager comes in, he has to go and buy that midfielder who's going to then really just be the linchpin for everything that falls on him in terms of all the different types of. Declan Rice is, to all intensive purposes, are modern day Billy Bonds type thing. It's why we call him the Basmati Billy Bonds. He can galvanise a team. He can drive it from midfield, and it's just critical that if he goes, we get the right person in, or right persons. Now, £120 million. I don't think we're going to get £120 million for that. I think we're going to get 100 million, or if we get 120 package, we'll get, I don't know, 90 in cash plus a £30 million player. And we're going to look at some of the ones we've been linked with in a minute. I've just seen a few. Let's get a few of these things. I'll go for Lavia from Southampton and Onana. And again, you're right. That's another thing. I put a list of. I haven't put Lavia on there actually. But that's a great shout. We've got Southampton, Everton potentially, or Forest, or Leeds. 3 of them 4 going down, which means there'll be extra names to add to the hat. There's a lot of midfielders are going to be available. I think if Rice is going to be available as well, there's going to be a lot. If you include Bellingham, if you include Rice, and we'll go through some of the others as well. Decker's 1 more year, so he stays. We are not a small club, and we have cash though, so may not need to sell him this summer. The trouble is, Frano, he's got 1 more year. I think actually he has another year on. I think we have another year option on top of that. I think, but if we don't sell him now and we sell him next year, we've lost half the value at least on him. And that to me is the problem. He is a very valuable commodity. He's a £100 million player. We don't have them very often. In fact, we've never had a player who's worth 100. Maybe on paper, I remember Payet was it 50 million that Real Madrid wanted to pay for him. But that is an elite level player. That is top echelons in terms of what he has in terms of value to another club and to West Ham. What could we do with 100 million quid? A lot, with the free transfer market as it is in the moment. There's a lot of good free transfers out there. We're going to talk about some of them as well and go through some of the potential replacements of Deck. Obviously, we know they're not free. We know there's a signing on fee and whatnot, but you've got also, could we get away with selling Declan Rice and bringing in a 30-40 million pound player, or maybe bring in 2 of them, maybe then spend 40-50 million on 2 new fullbacks? So we've obviously we've not. I wouldn't say we squandered 180 million pounds in the summer, but it's taken a while for that's some of them to take effect. And the likes of Skamaka haven't really, Areola hasn't really, Agerd has. I think Kira's starting to. Downs hasn't really had much opportunity. Emerson, I think, come in and done well. I think if you do invest it, you have to invest it in in quality players, maybe Premiership ready players. I think the reason why maybe someone like Emerson has adjusted so quickly is because he's been playing in the Premier League before, whereas the likes of Aged, I mean, even Paqueta's taken a lot of time to sort of adjust to not only the Premier League but to his teammates as well. Anyway, move on. Michael, good evening to you. Hope you're well, my friend. He's staying. I know his Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben, very good. Rice is going to Arsenal. I think a deal for Eddie Nketiah would work. I don't think Arsenal would get rid of Nketiah. They gave him the 14 shirt, didn't they? They gave him Thierry Henry's shirt. He signed a new contract. I mean, if you look at cash plus player, I think Arsenal are probably in the. No, I suppose them. And I mean, for me, if it's a cash plus player deal, there's only 2 clubs I think in the Premier League which would have something which would be interested in, which would be City and Chelsea. I don't think Arsenal. I think Nketiah. I don't think you'd get Eddie Nketiah. I don't think he'd improve the side. I think there's a lot better players than Eddie. They wouldn't get rid of Thomas Partey. I don't know. Maybe Kieran Tierney, maybe. But that's not a like-for-like replacement. You'd still need to then invest that money on a replacement. Chelsea, I think Conor Gallagher, definitely. Loftus-Cheek, maybe. We don't know what Poch is going to do when he comes in. Is he going to keep Chilwell on the books? Pulisic, they've got lots of good players. City, of course, you're looking at, we know that we've had links with Calvin Phillips. I mean, I think he's too injury prone, but people have been linked to him. We've been linked to him. Cole Walker as well. So there's so much. I think City and Chelsea are in the box seat if we went for that. Do we sell Ben Johnson in the summer? I think we will do. I think he'll go to Everton. I think regardless of whether they stay up or not, I reckon. Because I reckon he'd be a good player under Sean Dyche. I think he'd do really well. I know his German cousin, Muller Rice, very, very well. He's Indian half cousin, Basmati Rice. Very good. Heard Schumacher was at the Roma game. He was indeed. How come since he hasn't come back to England? Says it all. He's going 100%. Well, he's doing his rehab in Italy. He was at the Roma game. He's a Roma fan, and he lives nearby. So that's why he was at the game for their semi-final. I think with Schumacher, I honestly think we're trying to keep him sweet. We said that before. The information we were told was if Moyes is still there, he wants to go. And the board are trying to convince him to stay because they know he's a good player. I think, to be honest, would he go? He's just had knee surgery. He's a young lad, just had knee surgery. Any club would be mad to buy him, I think, without seeing him play since his knee surgery. He could be an absolute duffer now. You never know. I could see I could see Schumacher going in January. Maybe he has a few games, scores a bit, sort of on the peripherals, maybe in Europa League, if he's not getting into the first team under Moyes, and then I could see him moving on maybe. But I wouldn't buy a player who's had knee surgery, such a young player, without some sort of, even if it's like friendlies and seeing him score friendlies and then getting him. The story is now long grain, very good. What about Daka or Iheanacho? Iheanacho, no. Daka we were after, weren't we, before we went to Leicester? For every like Mill chokes another playoff, proof will be in the pudding. Very good. Moyes stays, I hope I don't hear the word Lingard in the off-season. But the market is dictating the price. It certainly is. Let's not go for Vardy, otherwise Killeen will interfere with him. Let's hope 2 or 3 teams get into a bum fight for him. Indeed, are we replacing Deck or building a team? Because Downs could do a job. We're going to talk about Downs as well. It's a great shout. As long as we don't go for Calvin Phillips, so overrated for me, it's a big no. Need someone better than Downs to fill in Rice's position. I agree. Hi, Russ. I hope you're well. Very well. Hope you are too. Please, not Arsenal. Let's go through. We got no to Phillips. Smith Rowe down the pecking order at Arsenal at the moment. Not a direct replacement for him, though, is he? So you'd still need to get a direct replacement for him. Rice to Spuds to keep. No, never going to happen. Rice all gone, but sadly, loads to choose from, such as Calvert-Lewin. I mean, I would go. It'll be replacements, like direct replacements. So Anana, yes. Tielemans is obviously out of contract in the summer. Ndidi, I think he's past it. Notto from Leicester, again from Leeds, he's not a direct replacement, but a good player. Ward-Prowse, Lavia, Gibbs White. That's an interesting one. Good player. Again, not necessarily a direct replacement. That's what I'm more concerned with. But yes, I mean, there's some good players. I mean, I think Maddison will probably go to Newcastle by all accounts. I think Moyes will end up staying. Doesn't the manager make decisions who stays and who goes? As he plays, he wants to keep Cresswell if so, wants to keep Cresswell for another year. Another manager may not want him. Exactly, Victor. That's what I was led to believe, was Cresswell wouldn't sign, if Moyes stays, he was going to offer Cress a new contract, particularly with Declan Rice going. After Declan Rice, you've then got, Cresswell is the second. Well, no, it's not. Cresswell is the most. He's got the most Premier League appearances under his belt for West Ham. Then it's Declan Rice. So for one to go, you still need some sort of, what's the word? Experience in the ranks. Mandy, hope you're well. How many players would you change for Sunday? As many as humanly possible. As many as humanly possible. I think I jotted down who I think should play on Sunday, and I've got who I think should play, and I'm trying to sort of do who I think should play, but I'm a little bit Moyes creeping into me because I've managed to bench 9 of the players who started on Thursday. And keep 2. So I think they'll keep a couple of them for me. I'd play Areola, Lanzini in the under-18s. Well, you won't play Areola because it'll be Fabianski. In goal, and Areola will be gone Thursday. I'd change the 11 if possible. Is it going to be replacement for Rice? It's always got to be the chips for me. Very good. How many will Moyes change? Indeed. I mean, as a little tidbit, obviously we did the David Moyes press conference on like 5 o'clock today, 5 o'clock something like that. And he spoke about Antonio. He said he might be fit for Sunday. Why? And I'm like, no, do not play Antonio. Do not play Antonio on Sunday. Give him a fucking rest. I'm not his greatest fan, but he's been playing really well. And actually, we want him at 100% on Thursday. We don't want him. Can we have Mr. Bean as a manager, says Mo? There we go. So I've gone back and looked at all people we've been linked with in the last few months, names that have come up, and this is the list. Now this isn't exhaustive. Lavia, I mean, we haven't technically been linked with Lavia as such in terms of any stories. But this was sort of a list. This is sort of a likely list. We'll go from the top and we'll work our way down. Milenkovic-Savic, currently at Lazio. He's going to be available on a free transfer in the summer. That will be interesting. I think he'll be fantastic for us. I really do. I think Milenkovic-Savic and Paqueta in the midfield would be outstanding. Conor Gallagher for Chelsea, currently around 35 million quid. Calvin Phillips, according to Transfer Market, is ranked at 38 million pound. James Ward-Prowse, he said Newcastle, Southampton, likely to go down, 28 million. You've got Scott McTominay been linked with at Man United, 25 million. Clefam Thuram from Nice, he's been quoted as 60 million. Delicio Kamada from our good friends at Eintracht Frankfurt, 30 million. He's in transfer market. Digimon Sal, which we've been speaking about quite a lot, available on a free transfer in the summer. Guendouzi from Marseille, former Arsenal midfielder, 35 million. We're going to talk about him tomorrow in the Daily Show. Anana, Everton, got about 40 million quid. If Everton go down, it'll be available. And Alex Scott from Bristol City, he's quoted at 25 million quid. So you look at those types of, yes, I forgot Sanya as well, Ibrahim Sanya from PSV Eindhoven. We did mention him as well. Good shout. He's available for apparently around about 40 million pounds as well. So you look at, when you look at that list, and you look at those players available, 120 million pounds it could get you 4 of them, roughly. It could get you 4 of them, at least 3. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that but you could get 2, and then So I mean, there's loads of play, and also if we get into Europe, if we're in the Europa League next year, that puts us in a different bracket than we are if we don't get really European football this year. So if we're not in Europe next year, the likes of maybe Turam, people like that, wouldn't probably come to us. But you'll be in the Europa League. It's a step up. It could possibly be a thing. My team for Sunday: Fab, Johnson, Emerson, Kira, Ogbonna, Downs, Fornals. I think that is exactly my side. Maybe not Ben Rama. No, I've not put Ben Rama in. Do not play Antonio. Deck is a great player, great talent, even great ambition. We should not hold him back. I totally agree, Ernest. I totally agree. And it's sort of, I think the reason why this seems a bit more, I can't think of the word, grown up, is you look back at when Joe Cole left, you look back at when Michael Carrick left, look back at when Rio left, when Ben Johnson left. Sorry, Glenn Johnson. Ben Johnson's probably in this summer. Glenn Johnson, and Defoe and people like that. Now, when Rio left, obviously Rio left for around £19 million. We got a stand out of him, the famous Rio stand. If it weren't for Rio, I wouldn't get my job at West Ham because I wouldn't have been in the new stand. Rio ended up playing 160 games for us. I think Coley in the first spell about the same. Declan Rice has played almost, he'll literally be playing almost 250 times for the club when he's gone, across a 6-year period. I think Rio, 7 year. I think Rio was five-ish years. 1, 2, 3, about 5 years. It just seems that Rice has established himself a bit more. I mean, that first year, Rio ended up playing 46, 43, 33, 47, and then 14, and he leaves for Leeds. Ironically, the last game he played for us was against Leeds in a 1-0 away loss. And so this seems a bit more grown up. I don't know if it makes sense, but do you know what I mean? He seems a little bit more of an established, West Ham player. I take a loss Sunday for the victory on Thursday. I think everyone is in the same boat. Didn't feel with confidence. Moyes' press conference earlier. If next Thursday it depends, we should bring in Fabs. Yet totally agree. Why not showing the youth? Wait, I haven't finished yet. Why are we not showing Mbama go out and show it? I think Mbama. Personally, I think on Sunday, I think you'll see lots of. I think you will see quite a few of the kids on the bench. I think you see Mbama. I think you see. I mean, yesterday we had Mbama, Freddie Potts, Joseph Anang. I think you'll see more of them on there. That's for sure. I'd want to if we lost Rice. I think we'd need to. Only ones I'd take on that list are Gallagher, JOP, and Turam. Alex Scott is a good player who can make the step up. I think if you got Alex Scott, you would need someone like Milenkovic, Savic, James Ward-Prowse. You need some, Conor Gallagher, someone really experienced to give you that extra, give that breathing room. I mean, Alex Scott is only 19. He's a good player, very good player for Bristol City, but he would need time to make sure it step up. Where's Milenkovic? Where's Nikola Milenkovic? Well, Milenkovic is a defender. He's a central back. He's a centre back. So that's why he's not on the list. All these are midfielders. Ings should play on Sunday with Barma. So, yeah, 2 up front. What about Nikola Vlasic? Nikola Vlasic is a number 10, Mo. I don't think he's not on the list. What we got here? Would love a Nana, but unlikely. Unless the Everton go down. If Everton go down, they are fucked if they go down. They've got Stanley Park being built. They've also, on their wage to income, it's something like 97% of their income is on wages. West Ham is one of the best. I think it's Brentford or Spurs than us, or we're second or third in terms of income to wages. We're very good. We're actually in the best position of all the bottom clubs to go down, really, because we've got no debt or anything like that as well. But Everton are up to their eyeballs, so they'll need a fire sale. Anana is, you got to think Anana, Calvert-Lewin, Pickford. Yeah, because I mean they got rid of Anthony Gordon, so they'd have to get rid of them, as many of them to balance the books out. Milenkovic Savic would fit our team perfectly. Gav, he would be the perfect West Ham midfielder because he's a little bit nutty. We haven't had a nutter for ages. He reminds me a little bit of a midfield version of Julian Dix. He's got that sort of. He's got those eyes. He's got those eyes. He's a great player, a very technical player, and obviously he's played. He played for Lazio. He played. I've probably got the stats. Have I got his stats here somewhere? Where's his stats? That's his stats. He's 6'3". He's taller than Rice. He's played for Genk. He's played for Verdina and Lazio. He's played 323 games for Lazio. Look at the goals: 66 goals and 59 assists. So in 322 games for Lazio, he's got 125, something like that. 125 goal contributions. He's won the Italian Cup, the Super Cup, the Serbian Cup. And when he was a kid, he won the under-19s Euros and under-20 World Cup. So he's a good player. He's a good player, and I think he would really fit West Ham well. He's 28, so he's sort of in his peak. Really, you get him for a good few seasons. Not someone with particularly, maybe 5 seasons max, 6 seasons maybe. But I think he would be brilliant. What we got here, winning the conference is humongous, as we are going to go into Europe again with Newcastle and co. Yep, I mean Newcastle hopefully will be in the Champions League. I hope they will be because obviously we have Kendall on the channel. She's great, and it'd be great for them. I see a lot of us and them similarities, and so I really hope they break that sort of greedy 6 duck, and then they sort of technically are one of the greedy 6 then. But you know what I mean, if we get 2 beasts who can play instead of having a beast the Rice and a beast who can't, we'll be on our way. I totally agree. Didn't Moyes also say today, playing Thursday last season tired the players out, so there's no excuses anymore? You're totally right. Ogflex was back in training today. We'll give him a game. Yeah, he was training. There's a picture on Twitter of him, Mbama, and Fornals. I think Ogflex would be maybe on the bench, but you never know. How can we replace Deck? He's such a special player. Reminds me sometimes of Bobby, my footballing hero. You're totally right. You're never going to get a like for like. So, I mean, you will end up replacing him with 2 players, realistically. I mean, you look at the role he does. If you think, I mean, it's almost 2 separate roles. For the sort of the CDM role, I think you can get someone in who's a CDM. You can get an Anana, or you can get someone like that. Or, for the more box-to-box type player, someone like Milenkovic Savic, someone like Kamada, Sal. There's some really good players. I mean, JWP as well, great player. Conor Gallagher. I don't think anyone. We're not going to get someone who's going to replace Declan Rice because it's impossible. But I think there's, as we said, that just not that one. Just the list alone. There's 11 players there who you can realistic targets. I mean, Matteo Condesa, from Marseille, the former man from Arsenal midfielder. He's playing brilliantly at Marseille at the moment. Really matured. Obviously, got into the French side. Could be a great player. Knows the Premier League already. I think we'll be fighting with Villa for him because Unai Emery was at Arsenal when he was at Arsenal, so he knows how good he is. Matured a lot since he left Arsenal. Could be a really good player. Really good player. 24 as well. Same age as Deck. I like Sal. I think Sal on a free transfer, the Swiss international midfielder from Eintracht Frankfurt, is a fantastic player. Personally, I'd love, for me, I mean, if I'm being greedy, I'd like Milenkovic, Savic, Thuram, and Sal. That would be amazing. I think Kefa Thuram is going to be a world star. He really is. And if you can get him for 60 mil, you'll get to double your money in 4 or 5 years. I guarantee it. And Barma definitely on the bench. Chelsea have Sakaria. Great shout. Yeah. Dennis Sakaria, the Swiss international, formerly of Borussia Mönchengladbach. Out of this, I'll take Thuram. That's it. Same about shame about what people are still at. Yep, our loan's back. I don't think they're back. Or they will be back actually because it's the end of the. But I don't know what happens. Whether they, I don't know because obviously they finish the season. Great vid, Russ. Thank you very much. If you like it, give us a like everyone says. I thought the point of moving was to get another level and keep players like Rice. I think we have. I mean, I think again this is slightly different off topic, but me usual. I'm more than happy off topic. I think we've when you're looking at what's going on. Oh, hello, fucking hell, Jesus. In terms of moving on, I don't think you're moving on. I mean, Declan Rice was always going to sign, always going to go to a new. We would never match his ambitions. I don't think you would, just because he wants to win the Premier League. I mean, in essence, that's everyone's job. Everyone who's a football player wants to win the league, but very few players can do that, and very few players have the opportunity to do that. He's good enough, he can hang it with the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri and people like that. He can hang it with that, no problem at all. We've seen the last couple of games we played Man United at home, Arsenal at home, Deck pissed in the midfield, both midfields. Now, what should we do? Let me just go through here, then I'll bring on our special guest. Usually it was Rice, but no player wants to keep an unhappy player. Indeed. Right. Let's just move through a little bit. If they survive in the diet, they'll be decent next year. Possibly would love Milinkovic Savic. Looking forward to that. So, yes, I do need to put it in the. I've got 2 things to put in the post, Bedford, and I will do it on Monday. I promise you on Monday. I promise you I'll get it in the post on Monday. I think I prefer Fofana over Savic. Both are tasty beasts. Seko Fofana from RC Lens. We've been looking at him as well as Openda and I can't believe the guy Kevin Fawns. So all 3 from Lens. It's in our DNA to in front of the back. Indeed, he can play. Could also would need an interview regarding attitude. I think Damien. I think he's improved so much. Don't think of him as that Arsenal player. That's what I did, but actually he's so much better than he was. If Rice goes, who's next captain? Naya Faged is who I would have. Let's bring in the traveller. He's flown across the country to watch West Ham yesterday with Freddie and his nephew, who is as tall as him. Where is just do this? Who's as tall as him? It is Mr. Anton Baker. Hello.
How you doing?
You would fly 500 miles.
Do you know what? I've done that journey many a time in my life, right? I have no problem with that journey. I've done it all my life. But for some reason, this one hit me like a ton of bricks. It was, and do you know what it was? It was the fact that the train strikes were on.
Yeah.
And we got caught and we had to book a last minute hotel in Heathrow, Gatwick. And we literally arrived there at like midnight. And then we got up at like 5 to go and get a taxi.
That's
to
the thing.
airport.
That's the thing.
That was it. And then oh man. And I think by the time we got home, Freddie was tapped out of any form of transport. He just wanted to be grounded. I was just absolutely done in. But do you know what? It was worth it. And it's always been worth it. It has always been worth it. Like I've done it so many times, Russ. I've done it when we've lost games. It's horrible. I've done it my whole life, but it was just worth it, man. Just everything you could have asked for, like especially taking Freddie to the game as well and having the atmosphere and the whole build up, meeting you and meeting everyone again and being around the stadium and stuff like that. It's just really cool. Meeting Mr. Boschman. A Bosch.
Yes. Yeah. Good old Tom, yeah.
So yeah, no, it was good. Yeah. It was good, mate. It was good. And obviously I know I've seen the comments today about what David Moyes has said. I don't really necessarily think David Moyes has said anything that nobody doesn't know, but he's covering both elements, really.
Yeah. I think it's the first time that he's said it, publicly that I mean it's one of those, as we said at the beginning, it's one of the most sort of open secrets that he's more likely to go than stay this summer.
Yeah.
And we all know that, but for the manager to come out and say it, plus all the stuff about the price tag, which was set on Monday by all accounts, plus the fact that he wasn't involved in the shirt photo shoot and anything else for the club since then, really hasn't done any little hi, I'm Declan Rice, hasn't done of them, which he usually does after every game. I haven't seen one by the club this week since the game yesterday. So, it's just a bit. I mean, it's the timing, isn't it? Because usually what would happen is with that question, he'd have flobbed it off. It fobbed it off. He said, I mean,
I don't know, Russ, mate. I really don't. I just don't know. I don't know what the situation is here. I've just literally logged on 2 minutes ago, and you just have a quick look over YouTube, and all it is on YouTube is Neil Ruddock says go to Liverpool, then suddenly someone says Arsenal's #1 target, and blah blah blah. So the only thing we can take from this is the fact that what we're creating is a bidding war. And to generate as much as you possibly can of interest. But I don't even think we need to generate that interest, because I think what he's doing on the football park is generating that natural interest. But I just don't think it's as easy as the fact that Declan Rice is going this summer. I really don't. I think it's inevitable that he is going to be leaving the club at some point, but I don't know, mate. I just find it all very extremely weird, all extremely odd. I find West Ham really unpredictable. I think everything we do behind the scenes is unpredictable. I think everything that goes on behind the scenes is unpredictable. And just because, even he's alluded to wanting to go on and win things, the key question here is going to be what club guarantees you trophies? What genuinely right now, what club guarantees you trophies? It's easy for us to turn around and say, oh, he's going to go to Liverpool. Well, are they guaranteed any trophies next year? I mean, I know no one's guaranteed trophies, but there's one team that can kind of get you something, and that is Man City. And will Man City do it when they've got Rodri? Is it? What do they do? I just
can't see Man. I just don't see Man City as being. I mean, the thing is, he's so used to being the main man. He's so used to it being now, and he can see what's happened to Grealish. It's taken Grealish the best part of 18 months to really end up establishing himself into the first team. Look at Foden. Foden's nowhere near it at the moment at Man City now.
I think it's interesting. I mean, I don't think it is someone like Man City, but it's such a big risk, man. You're Declan, I do think gone are the days that, like you said, mate, about Jack Grealish and stuff like that. But if you rewind back even further and you think of like players who went to, I'm trying to think of them all, who went and then sat on the bench. Let's look at West Ham, Chelsea players, Glenn Johnson,
Scott Parker,
yeah, like left, and the grass isn't always greener. Maybe in the long run, essentially those deals worked out for those players eventually in the long run. But I think gone are the days where players want to go and sit on the bench or not to be considered. But equally, though, if you want to try and, I get it, you want to play Champions League, I get that. I don't know, mate. I'm conflicted. I don't know. I'm all over the question. I'm listening to the press conference, and I'm like, I'm a bit confused why you bring it up. I don't know why or why it's said. I know there's going to be questions, but I'm a bit confused why you don't buff it off. Like, just move it to the side.
That's what I mean.
Push that to the side. Like,
that's what I mean, though. That's what I mean. It's like, that's what I don't understand. And also, I mean, the fact was it wasn't covered on the West Ham Live blog as well. That's one of the things.
No, but
I get that.
Yeah, that makes it all kind of confusing as well, doesn't it? But for me, listen, I know we're here to do the channel. I know we're here to bring you content, and I get that, and I'm glad. Obviously, it's good we're covering it, and I kept saying to you, didn't I? Let's push the David Moyes situation to the side while we get to the end of the season. It just doesn't seem to be going away. But I think this is probably played into the laps of the owners, played into the laps of, I don't know.
It's a strange one. I think it's a strange really one. It's like you've just come off the back of. I mean, the fact is, this press conference was like a free hit for him today, because we've won a game, we've won the semi-finals, we've got Brentford, yada yada yada. It was a pretty boring press conference, and then someone's asked a question about Declan Rice, and he's answered it. And for me, if I was Lee, if I was the press guy, I'd have been like, whoa,
I tell you what, Russ, right? I tell you what, though, one thing I will say is, no matter what you think of that stadium, right? and I've not been much this season at all. And so for me to come back again and just get the vibe and get the feeling, of just being there. Rice, let's just say Rice goes to Old Trafford. Let's say Rice goes to the Etihad. Let's say Rice goes to Anfield. I honestly don't care what anyone says, mate. The atmospheres, they don't have atmospheres at those stadiums. They do not have atmospheres at those stadiums. I'm trying to think of a stadium I've gone to that's even remotely close. And because obviously,
go on.
I'm not saying it's just about the atmosphere. I'm just trying to say about, you hear loads of stuff. We listen to interviews with Declan Rice. He seems really humble. He seems really down to earth, and he seems really appreciative of where he is in his life. He does want to do the best in his career he possibly can. Is the long-term future at West Ham? I don't think it will be, unless we dramatically do something over the next year. Then there's a small hope, but maybe a pipe dream. But the longevity of the situation is that this is my only saving grace. I could say, I can't speak. Saving grace, I could say, is the fact that I just don't know who he's going to go to right now. I mean, Chelsea. I mean, here's something for you. I don't really I won't say the player's name, but I was on the plane with a player's from Chelsea's mum, who was extremely open today. Really open about her son's experience of being at Chelsea, current first teamer, current just involved in the whole setup, and just saying about how Graham Potter was not respected at all in that change room. What a lovely guy. No. What a lovely guy. That was the comment, but just didn't know how to control that dressing room.
No.
And but the point I'm trying to make is there's just so much issues at Chelsea in the background, and people don't have the faith in the manager, don't have the faith in the manager coming in. And when they do have the faith in the manager coming in, they don't think there's any longevity in that manager that comes in, because look at their history of getting rid of all the bosses as well. So Declan Rice, will he want that uncertainty? Go to Stamford Bridge. I mean, I don't care what we do have. Quite possibly the best fans around. Like we do. We've got such a loyal fan base, and I know we're all crazy sometimes, but you look around that stadium last night and you think about the show. I mean, there was one point when Paqueta won a corner. Yeah. And he got, I don't know if you were watching it or whatever, and he was like to the fans, right? He was like, right. And the fans reacted to him, man. And it was electric. It was absolutely electric. And I'm not saying, but I'm just trying to align everything along the Declan Rice saga. I'm like, you're the captain. You're playing for England. You've got no problems getting into England side. Okay, you're not winning anything yet, but you can win something if we keep going on the trajectory we're going on. You can be safe, and if you believe in the mission, then one more year could be a possibility. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? Like, unless it's Real Madrid, I don't know where he's going to go. Are you going to run the risk of going to Liverpool? What's going to Liverpool going to do for you? Are you going to believe the Klopp mission? Is this what you're going to go and believe? Because right now, the Liverpool fans don't believe the Klopp mission. Arsenal are starting to dwindle a little bit. If that there you go, win the league, then I think we could turn around and go Arsenal. But don't win the league. I feel this is where I feel with Arsenal. I feel if Arsenal don't win the league this year, Russ, that's their chance gone in the most.
It's the same as us in Champions League the last couple of years. That's it. We will never be as close to getting qualifying the Champions League unless we get bought out by Ratcliffe and or Qatari family and spent billions of pounds. We just won't. You just won't. That was one of those freak years, like when Leicester won the title, and now look at where they are now. But regardless of that, they won something, and if they get relegated in the Championship, they'll still have a Premier League trophy to look at and an FA Cup. So it's one of those things we've spoken about that before. What's the point of football? The point of football is to win stuff, and not necessarily to be getting to 40 points by February. That's not what it's about. Winning stuff, running the cup and things like that. And he wants to do it more regularly. That's what he wants. And you're right. I don't think it might not be the Premier League, but he wants to be regularly winning silverware. And I think I don't think that's the thing, and what we've spoken about before is he wants to, if he does go, he wants to be to a club, as we said before, with longevity, with history. Not to me, that takes Newcastle out of the equation straight away, because they haven't got history in terms of sustained history, in terms of Premier League and winning trophies and things like that. I mean, they're waiting for trophies longer than ours, so. I think it was the mid-60s when they won the trophy. Even Tommy, here he is. He's turned up.
Tommy boy.
Question, for me, is if any club pony up the fee you want for Rice, it's a hell of a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, that's what we're saying. It's and another thing is by saying, oh, it's going to cost 120 million pounds, that puts a price tag on him, and you're getting the top dollar. You're getting a top. You want him, you got to pay top dollar. So it might be a hands off type. It's almost a hands off. 100 million pounds, but 120 sounds an incredible amount of money for someone who's scored 11 goals in 240 appearances. Do you know what I mean?
I hear a lot of. I do hear some of the pundits as well. I mean, I think some of the pundits' observation of Declan Rice in terms of value to player are ridiculous comments. If I'm being really honest, I'm really surprised at some of the comments, because I'm like, for me, it's like you only watch highlights. Then that's the only way I feel. Like you only watch the highlights of Declan Rice. You don't see the full picture. But we see like the ridiculous. I think he gave the ball away a couple of times last night, but at one point in particular, there was one just unbelievable tackle. I know he does more than just one, but there was one that was the kind of glossy, catching up with a player, nipping in, sliding to the ground, tracking back, that kind of Bobby Moore-esque type tackle. But when we see that every single game with the geezer, I get people are going to look at me and go, Anton, get out the pipe dream. I get that, but why not? I mean, because I think it's just because there's just no guaranteed team. It's easy for us to turn around and say, it's Arsenal. Well, is it going to be Arsenal? I don't see it being Newcastle, not just because they've not got even really history, Russ, but that's the next level project. Like that's if they have got the money, then Trippier was the kind of the first domino to fall off. He was the one that could attract maybe something else.
Yeah.
Then they got a few others. So then bringing Isaac in was, I think, a steal. Like loads of clubs were after him for the fee as well, and he's turning out to be a very good player. Yeah. This summer's going to be big for them, but I don't think they're going to be able to attract a Declan Rice player. I think it's going to be, the talent abroad.
Yes.
That maybe other clubs are looking at. But I don't think they're going to have that muscle power yet in the Premier League, because people in the Premier League are going to look for that move to a team that can pretty much get you. I don't know. I think the fact is, someone made a good point. We know that Man United are going to be, probably being sold, whether it's to Ratcliffe or whatever. Fucking huge marquee signing. Yeah.
Could it could be, and
I think, but then something else we need to look at on the flip side is, and as much as I'm saying what I'm saying, listen, do I want Declan Rice to leave? Absolutely not.
No, not at all.
We've got a long history of selling players and never bringing that, better quality in or equal to what we've done. We've got that long history. What we need to learn to do is be able to spend that money wisely. Now, forget what's happened to Leicester this season. But you would look at what they've done in the last decade, and they have essentially done a very, a transformational job. Like they sold Harry Maguire, they invest that money better, and then look at their training facilities. And if they survive, they survive. They don't. But I think they've got the longevity and the sustainability. If they do go down, to hopefully, like for them to bounce back and push again at some point. Because I think they just made a wrong decision in bringing. I do genuinely believe they made the wrong decision on Brendan Rodgers. I think that was just to get them into a situation. But I think we as a club need to be able to learn, because every team has to, how to sell your best players and invest that money wisely.
Yeah.
So if we do sell him, if it's Moyes or another manager, will we invest that money wisely? That's the key.
Yeah.
And if I had confidence that we would, I would feel less. I'll be gutted, mate, as you will. As
I think
everyone who's
we all
watched
will
it will
be. Yeah, I think we'd all be. Yeah.
But
You're right. I
look,
mean,
Russ, if
go
he's
on.
standing there, right? Another question to you and a question to everyone else is: if we do win this Europa Conference League, right, and he's standing and he lifts the trophy, right? He lifts the trophy, and then he comes back to East London and he comes to that party, and he's gonna see the hundreds of thousands of fans that turn up to the area when they do the bus tour. If we hopefully, fingers crossed, get that, or they go to the what's it called, the balcony at the town hall, the balcony at town hall.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, really, you could leave,
Mm.
really?
Well, I mean, but then then you and me have had this conversation about Moyes. And it could be the same thing. He could lift that trophy, and that's him done, and that's he's mission complete. Rather and actually, it's knowing when's the right time. And you're right. I mean, God forbid, if he stayed, you never know what would happen. He could get injured, and that's it. Or if we sell him next year, half his value's gone.
Yeah.
So from having a £120 million player, you might get 50 million for him in this next summer. But just because of he'll have 1 year left in his contract, he can sign a contract to Real Madrid in that January, and he'll go for nothing.
Yep.
So, and he doesn't want that either. He knows his value. He knows what that money could do to a club like West Ham if invested correctly. So, if he goes, yes, but he wants to go where all parties are happy. He's happy, and West Ham are happy because he knows we picked him out the scrap heap when he was 14, so he knows what West Ham, and he's sort of his adopted club now, and all his cousins support West Ham now, and people like that. So it's I just think there's I think this summer's the right summer for him to go. I really do. I don't want him to go, but as you said, the realistic side of me, head and heart, the head's got I think we could reinvest that money. I mean, I threw up the names of that's literally like just us, the people we've been linked with the last few weeks, couple of months. I think if you get two of them. If you end up, we sold Declan Rice and we got Conor Gallagher and James Ward-Prowse, or we got Thuram and Milinkovic-Savic, or Nana if Everton went down, and Matteo Condozi. That's a hell of an upgrade in our midfield. Yes, you haven't got Declan Rice anymore, but people moan about Tommy Souček. You could replace Declan Rice and Tommy Souček by selling Declan Rice, and it's different. But unfortunately, that very rarely do we get a Mark Noble now where they stay for their whole career. And actually, it's selling him and as you said, at the right price at the right time. We never do that as a club. We've never done that. We sold Joe Cole too early. We sold Rio too early. Rio, Leeds flipped him 18 months later and got 50 million quid or whatever it was for him. Almost 2.5 times the money that we paid. They paid him for us.
Yeah.
Glenn Johnson, Joe Cole, go on and on.
I hear a lot of this. Funny, I was talking on the train with a Brighton fan, actually, and they said, "Yeah."
You talk to a lot of people when you're traveling around.
I talk to everyone, man. I talk to everyone. I think it's because I was wearing West Ham stuff as well.
Yeah.
But no, the Brighton fan was saying that, listen, they've been delighted this season. Their biggest concern is the consistency in what they're doing. So it's fine right now that they're looking at the fact that they can find and replace a manager, find and replace a technical director, and find and replace players, sell them on from profits. But it's about their longevity of doing that. So they've got players like Danny Welbeck, Lallana, come to the end of their careers. Where at the end of their careers, they found a manager that can get the best out of them, and they've been really effective for them this season. So I think there's parts and parcels of what they're doing that possibly work. And yeah, they're above us right now in the league and are pushing for Europe. But weekly, we're doing that. And listen, Russ, no matter what happens next year, I think if we keep the nucleus, the core, I don't agree. I know we're in the network channel chat, and I know there's people saying there should be a big clear out. I don't agree there should be a big clear out, to be honest. I think the nucleus, the core, are really quite good. to be
the core will
with this
stay.
team.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think there's just the not. I don't even want to call it dead wood. I just think there's like time for
peripherals.
time for a
Peripherals.
move. Time for a move. You know, back when we had Avram Grant, back when we had Sam Allardyce, back when we had some of the other managers, there was blatantly dead wood, and that's been so horrible. But there was dead wood we need to get rid of, and we don't have that, in my opinion. There's players that that just it's time to leave, and thank you very much for your service, and we leave jointfully, respectfully, and that's it, how we move on. But for me, it's we just need to invest well. I don't even know if I'm making any sense because I'm starting to feel really tired.
No. I know what you mean. I think there's. I think. That's the thing. I mean, you look at who our first team, so to speak. I think the nucleus of it will. We got to keep that nucleus together. Keep the back two. Obviously, Paqueta, the likes of Rice. If we assume Rice is going, I think Bowen, Ben Rama. You're going to have half a dozen. Tilo Kira. There's going to be a nucleus of people. I think one or two improvements. I think I think you can improve. I think won't improve Declan Rice's position, but we can get someone who could complement Paqueta. I think Milenkovic, Savic, and Paqueta as a two would be fucking awesome. It'll be a nut, and we'd fucking love it because both of them are really hot headed, and it'll be fun. And then you could get someone like a James Ward-Prowse in there. There's so many options. And as you said, it's. I mean, Artem, it's a great shout. Build around Pat-Man. I mean, we never built around Payet. We never built around Declan Rice. We've got in Paqueta, we've got another world class player, which if we built a team around him, might lessen the blow of Declan Rice leaving.
Yeah.
It's there's and as you said, there's we haven't even spoken about obviously that's sort of we've got the youth team, we got Flynn, we've got Freddie Potts. People have been talking about Freddie when he's played as a bit like Declan Rice. We got George Earthy from the under-18s. There's guys who could fill those boots in terms of a CDM role.
Yeah, in terms of like when I look at those three players there, I think Flynn Downs is your kind of, in my real humble opinion, I think he's like the kind of new Souček.
Yeah.
He I think initially when we all first bought him, I think we thought it's just going to be the Deck replacement. But I think Freddie Potts' mold seems to be more Declan Rice's vibe, doesn't he? He seems really calm, collected on the ball, quite savvy with what he's doing, and can spray a pass around and stuff like that. But I don't think I think exciting to have these young players coming through. But like you said, I think Paqueta, my nephew was with me and he was like, "Oh, he's not had a great first half." And I said, "Well, do you know what? No one really had a great first half.
No.
Our tactics weren't great, really, and that allowed them to do what they needed to do to build the team around Souček." Or Tommy, what have you been on tonight, mate?
Yeah.
But I think the second half we really saw, the Paqueta, the Ben Rama link up play, and some of the stuff Paqueta was doing, man. And he's just not. He's the sort of player that gets crowd going all the time. But it's not even just from his skills; it's from his sheer no holds barred getting involved in tackles. Like he was down again. Someone stamped on the back of his leg, and the referee never even pulled it up at all. But
yeah, I thought Moyes was going to take him off to sort of save him being sent off for second descent, but he kept him going. As you said, it's taken him a while to adjust. I think for the team to adjust and for him to get up to pace, not necessarily the Premier League, but with his teammates, and they seem to, as you said, and I think with Paqueta, I think you've always got someone who's, you said, can lift the crowd, can get excited. People can watch it. And what I like about him is, there was one point in the second half where he did like a little drag back back heel to Ben Rama with like the.
It was even more than that. I think it was like a drag back, and then he flicked it back heel around the player or through. It was ridiculous, like what he was doing.
Yeah,
and then at that point, you've seen his confidence even shooting up, and him and Benny down that left hand side, man, they were completely in control. Of that, and I think there's a part I don't want to get cocky about even the second leg against Alkmaar, But when I think about I think apart from their goal, they had one clear-cut chance where it went across the goal, didn't it? And no one was there to do it. But we also had a couple of them. I think in the first half, we had something like 7 or 8 attempts. I think our expected goals was something like 0.6 from the first half, but we had 8 attempts on goal. So that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous conversion. When you have 8 attempts at goal and you only have a conversion rate of 0.6, it shows you that our shots were just haywire. And they were at some points. We were not really hitting the target or anything like that. But I'm confident we can get through this second leg. I'm scared because it's just West Ham. But when I listened to you, Russ, you did the what was who was the round before? Just because I'm so tired. Ghent. And you said, listen, mate, we're going to brush them aside in the home. No doubts at all. We're going to brush them aside in the home. I'm quite surprised you're not saying that. I know we're playing away, but I'm quite surprised you're not saying that for this one.
I don't think we're going to brush past them. I think actually 2-1 or is actually probably one of the perfect results we can have there, because they're cocky. They have to come out. There'll be no Matthew Ryan kicking the ball, slow goal kicks. What have we been doing pretty much under David Moyes for the last 3 years? Counter-attacking, soaking up the possession, hitting them on the counter-attack. That's literally what we're going to be doing. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be really boring, but it's our perfect game plan because they need to score and we don't. And so I'm confident. I don't think we're going to smash them. I think we'll probably come up with a draw. I reckon we'll get like a 1-1 or it'll be a draw. I don't think we'll win, but I think that's enough to get through. And that's what cup football is all about. And that's why sometimes, after the game yesterday, I was really sort of deflated. I sat back and then I thought, actually, we went into the Ghent game. We came out of it. Was it 1-1 at Ghent, weren't it?
Yeah.
And we blew them away here. I still think if we turned up with the intensity we had for the Man United game, we'd have steamrolled them yesterday.
Yeah,
but that wasn't how we're going to be set up. We weren't going to be set up like that. Man U was a different game. This was a different, that we knew. If anything, I thought actually we scouted them quite well. We know what they were going to do. Lots of possession. We let them have it. As soon as it crossed sort of 35, 40 yards, we were sort of onto them quite a bit.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I agree with you on that, to be honest. I think I spoke to my dad as well. He was like, "Oh God, I think we ran our luck in the first half." I said, "I don't really necessarily think we did run our luck. They had a shot that, Areola probably should have saved. It should have really goal anyway because of the foul on the lead up to it, and then they had that one chance glance across the thing. But apart from that, I said, I think we allowed them the possessional play, but I don't remember them necessarily testing Areola. I don't remember the defense thinking they were really out of sorts. So it makes an interesting second leg, but we've got 1 foot on the plane. Doesn't mean we've got the 2. And this is a good point from Tommy.
Would win very few. They won't be able to compete. Well, I mean, I think it was Anthony said if Deck wants to win, yes, it's a few City, Real Madrid, Barcelona, PSG, or Munich. Barcelona, who are losing Sergio Busquets, he's leaving. Just saying, Sergio Busquets. Real Madrid are losing Modric and Toni Kroos soon.
But it's a really interesting point. I'm if I had a clear pathway of a team he was going to go to, I'd be sitting here going like that, wish you all the best, Dex. But Deck leaving West Ham to go to Arsenal, if Arsenal don't win the league, and even if they do win the league, if they win the league, it takes my percentage higher up to why he would go to Arsenal. If they don't win the league, it drops that percentage, and I'm already got a reasonably low percentage right now from going to Arsenal. Because just because they win the league doesn't mean that they'll go on and do anything else. They've got Champions League football then, and they will have Champions League football, and that's going to be a big transition for Arsenal. I don't think they coped reasonably well during the kind of Europa spell. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's such an interesting thing. We're going to have a crazy summer because we don't really know what's going to happen, mate. I mean, if we win, does that change his opinion? If Moyes is going and a new manager comes in, depending on the manager, does that change his opinion? Or does that send other players out the door? Who comes in, who goes out? Does the ownership change in any way whatsoever? There's so many different.
It's going to be a hell of a and the fact is, It is, and there's lots of plates spinning at the same time, and then you've got other players. So say Bellingham, if he goes to Real Madrid for 100 odd million quid, that puts a price tag on Declan Rice's head because it's comparable. Same as, I mean, literally as Inghaghiari says, same as Enzo Fernandez. He goes to Chelsea, same position, 107 million quid. Deck's better than him. So so actually it's and I think actually it's good business sense when you say something's worth something, then people automatically are looking up to that. So as you said, it is creating a bit of a bun fight for him, and there will be a number of clubs after him, and so that will drive up the price, and it could mean we get tastier players put into the mix. If Chelsea, say if Poch goes to Chelsea, which is what we believed is all but signed now, that could be interesting for someone like Deck. I know they're not Champions League football this year, but Poch, and then say Chelsea offers us 90 million and Conor Gallagher. I think that's a fucking good deal. Do you know what I mean? Or Conor Gallagher and Ben Chilwell and 80 million. I'd fucking rip your hand off for that, I reckon. So it's but we're going to get loads of this. But I want it sorted within the first month. I don't want it dragged out and and then literally, because it will happen. As I said, the 30th of August will come and Deck will go. And then
but I tell you what, though, Russ, mate, we again, I think if we get to the final, it's just things. There's so many variables that can change. It's funny how you hear all this stuff come out, even when even David Moyes' comments. What's interesting is just listen to the full press conference. Yeah, it's not just as blasé as because he does say we want him to stay. There's a chance he could go, but we still want him to stay, and we're planning for Declan to stay. So it's like yes, no. Yes, no, yes, no. Yeah. It's like, and I'm like, oh, we've got games to play still. Oh, we're playing in a semi-final of Europe, and like you said, I think the best thing he could have done was just push that one to the side and say,
I'm really surprised.
We want him
really
to stay.
Surprised.
See you later.
You want him to stay, rather than say, there's a chance. I mean, we know when Moyes says things are a good chance, they usually happen, or because there was a good chance that Zuma wasn't playing yesterday, and he fucking starts and plays 90 minutes.
Well, there you go. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
Anyway, still we've got Brentford. We've got Brentford on Sunday. We've got loads of stuff coming up for that. Holly's got her bits on. She's doing 10 things. 10 things. I'm tired there. 10 things you didn't know about Brentford. That'll be on. Starting 11s, watch alongs, all that type of stuff. We'll have a daily show tomorrow with some interesting news. And another sporting director named to throw in the hat. That's another thing as well. Like recruitment. We had all the stuff with Lutz Van der Speek. We've got another one which we're going to talk about tomorrow, which is really interesting. A really interesting one.
Also, if you haven't already, check out the membership program that we're offering. Yeah. Russ, have you done a giveaway for that?
We did the giveaway. Yeah, we've got a Bedfordshire Hammers one, didn't he? I've got to send him that and the shirt.
What's he got? What's he got? What's he won?
So he won a signed shirt. Yeah.
Right, brilliant. So Bedfordshire Hammers, who's a member of the channel. If you are a member of the channel, you get automatically put into a monthly draw.
Yep.
And you get a chance to really win some really cool shit. And I'm not even, I was talking to someone about it the other day, and I was saying that fair play. Like, I think fair play to us for in the nicest way. I'm not blowing up.
Well done us. Well done us.
No, but you know what? What an opportunity. It's good stuff to win. Like, give stuff back. So if you are interested, then we do have a membership program. We do put out content on there, and we're going to be putting Jesus, I'm not looking at that comment. But if you are interested, then you will be entered into a draw. You will win things like signed tops from the current season with proper certificates of it as well.
You're right. For June and July, we've got signed shirts, signed shirt each month from the could be the conference winning side.
Yeah, it could be. So if you are interested in doing it, then just click on the join for the memberships options. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button as well, hit the thumbs up. But yeah, it's and obviously Holly's part of the team. So we're gonna have an exciting summer, but we have to get through this season first, don't we?
We'll get through this summer, and we'll next week we should have Mark Robson on, the under 21/23, wherever he is this week, development coach and former player, doing Miami's 11 next Wednesday. It's probably next Wednesday, which is good. And then maybe the week after, we've got hopefully another ex-player lined up and another one, and maybe some celebrity fans as well. Anton's mate might come on. He went, and I told him, "Oh, you bumped into my mate the other day." I went, big lad, big Scottish fella, went, top boy. That's what he called you. Top. Maybe he said top knot. No, it went top boy. That's
top knot. Top knot.
Yeah, Holly was on the BBC football show. She was also on the today. She's on the Premier League productions thing with her at Brentford. So yeah, it's all good. And until probably about it, we all need to go to bed. Anton's tired. He's been jet lagged.
It's ridiculous to even think that I am jet lagged, but I kind of technically am in a really weird way. And I'm not. I shouldn't be, but it's not through. Yeah, fine.
Get the two stoners back on. Budgie and Kieran. I mean, that's what you're referring to. How
you know what?
We'll get back on.
See, Budge. I don't know if you're watching Budge, but Budgie texted me last night, saying, "Oh, thanks, nice meeting you, mate. Again. Hope you get home safe." And I said, "Where are you, mate?" And he said, "I'm on the train. I've just stopped here." And I went, "I'm on the same train." But I didn't realize the train I was on, it was fucking huge.
One of those big
ones. So long. And Budgie went, "Mate, I don't know if I can really be bothered walking all that way." And I was a bit like, really? And then I looked at the sign, and I was on carriage like 14, and the carriages were long, man. And he was in carriage 1. But anyway, he turned up and he gave me some good local knowledge that saved me a solid 20 quid either way. So I was delighted for that, Budge. So thank you very much, mate.
Oh, the guys at the stadium. Yes, the two blokes.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, yeah, they're two blokes. But we'll get Kieran and Budgie back on anyway. I'm sure they've indulged in a few things in their time, but we'll get them on. That'd be great. Walsall Hammers there in a couple of weeks' time. We'll get them back on. That's for sure. And yeah, hopefully Irish Tom will be back next week talking about us qualified for the final. And have put a good show against Brentford, and looking forward to Declan Rice's last game in a West Ham shirt on that Sunday, probably, with the return of Big Sam at the London Stadium. Apart from that, that's about it, mate, isn't it? That's about it.
Someone in the chat has asked how do they join the channel membership, so I'm putting the link in.
Okie dokie.
Just now, I think, yeah, that is it there. So if you click the link I've just put in there, then that gives you an option to join the members program.
Yeah, that'd be good. And then obviously, if you're
apart from the fact you get entered to win it, there is exclusive content on there as well.
Yeah, exactly. We put stuff
Russ is going to be putting videos on soon.
Yeah, and we're going to start like a more a bit like this, but we've not as structured. Like a podcast type thing, just more an open chat, all that type of stuff. And Holly, obviously, and we'll get Stato back soon doing some stuff. So hopefully you'll get loads of.
I was with Stato. Well, you've seen it. I was with Stato yesterday. After I left you, actually, yeah. So he came and had a couple of beers and good laugh. So
excellent, good. All right, then, guys. Well, until next time, me and Anton will go and get some sleep. And we're back tomorrow and then Sunday for the Brentford game. Could really do without Sunday, I'll be honest. Innit?
Depends on what he does. If he shakes up a little bit, then I'm up
for
that.
Will he? I know he says
he will.
Exactly. I mean, he's comment about Antonio. He said Antonio got a knock, but he should be all right for Sunday. No, David.
Russ. His history shows that he doesn't.
I know. We know Danny Ings going to start anyway, but it's like
but history shows that he's gonna go for it within reason. So yeah, expect that.
All right then. All right, guys. Anyway, we'll see you guys later. Take care. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay on. Anton's arachnophobia is. I stay on and see how he handles the spider. Now. Anyway, we're gonna go, and we'll see you guys very, very soon.